All right, folks. I hope you are hungry because it is now time for Sneaking, being run by Kefka. Take it away, Kefka.
All right. Hey, everybody. First of all, really glad to be back at SDAT. Isn't this thing great? Like, this thing is just freaking amazing. But yeah, I'm
The
going to be running.
best. Woo!
Woo! So I'm going to be running Sneak King. Those of you who don't know what this game is, strap in. Those of you who do, strap in as well. But I'm joined on commentary by CC. CC, say hello.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by pretty much the only other Sneak King runner in existence, Conception. Say hello.
Well, hello there. I'm starving. I can't wait to get started.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be lovely. Just as a bit of an interesting historical note, this is the first time two Sneak King runners have ever done anything together related to the game, which is pretty cool. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. Uh, Time will begin in 3, 2, 1, go. And you can feel free to kind of just take it away, Conception. And if I have something to say, I'll chime in. Y'all just go nuts.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
For sure. For sure. So this is sneaking. Now, if you're unfamiliar, back in 2006, Burger King, the actual place, had this promotion going on where if you bought a value meal for an additional, it's either $2.99 or $3.99. I think it kind of varies depending on where you are. You could get a video game, one of 3 video games, in fact, that was produced as essentially marketing material for Burger King. One of them is Sneak King. The other 2 are Pocket Bike Racer, which you'll see right after this, run by yours truly, and a third one called Big Bumpin', which is like a party game where you're driving bumper cars. I think, in my humble opinion, definitely the worst of the 3. And Kefka might disagree, but I think Pocket Bike Racer is probably the best of the 3 in terms of like actual coding and being a playable game to this day. But Sneak King has that charm that you just can't deny it. So what do? Obviously, you're the Burger King, right? We can see Kefka's running around the sawmill here, talking to all these hungry folks. This is the game. It's essentially Metal Gear Solid, except what you're doing is feeding hungry people.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to know that they're hungry, but you're not supposed to tell them in advance that you're feeding them. So it's like you have to intuit that they're hungry, but, you know, God forbid you walk up up to them and be like, hey, it looks like you're a little hungry. Would you like this? Instead, you got to pop out of dumpsters and stuff. So,
I mean, it wouldn't be fun if you just handed out food, right? You got to surprise them.
Exactly.
You know?
I feel like, at least personally, if I was surprised with a food object, I probably wouldn't take it. Unless I really knew the person. If they were in a Burger King mascot suit, I'm trying to decide if that would make me trust them more or less, actually.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like, what
I
if
don't
you
know.
were starving? Then I feel like you kind of have to.
Maybe.
Can I tell
Maybe
you?
if I was starving. Yes. Go.
Putting them in the costume is probably, better. I once was at college and I was walking down the hall and some guy walked up to me and said, "You look hungry," and handed me a Chick-fil-A sandwich and then walked away.
And you ate
It
it?
was a real Chick-fil-A sandwich that I did eat. I was very
Okay.
concerned though.
You're still alive, which is a good, sign for humanity that you can be trusted to take some food from strangers.
You know?
Also a good sign for us, as we're blasting through sneaking. Now, you'll see on here that this is a weird category. It's a weird category, and we've had some discussion and flux because there's actually been some technique found recently that won't super. I mean, it'll apply slightly to this run, but it applies more to what would be the true any percent run. But this run is kind of what we call in the community 50%, and the reason for that is Sneak King has 4 levels in it. This is the first one. This is Sawmill. We're gonna go to Cul-de-sac, and there's 2 more. There's Downtown and something else. I can't remember because I have barely played them. The reason, and the construction site, obviously. The reason why we do 50%, which is essentially the first 2 levels, is because at least in the past, the last 2 levels are so RNG heavy that they're not marathon safe at all. You could swing wildly between like the amount of time that you could save and or lose. It's almost like a randomizer. That's how random it gets with these challenges. It's kind of wild. The cycles that you could have to
What
do.
I find extremely fascinating is that in some challenges, it's not supposed to be random. Like, you'll do it 99 times and get the same result. and then on the 100th
Yep.
time, things just do or don't arbitrarily happen. I think it's just the game being
Yes.
very badly programmed. That's my theory, at least.
Yes.
Another thing I'm
Yes.
noticing, real quick, and I'm sorry to kind of interrupt the flow here. For some reason,
No, you're good.
Once I started the run, I've noticed that my CPU usage has completely skyrocketed, and I'm actually not dropping frames, but the FPS is just kind of fluctuating downward. I'm going to take a moment after this challenge, if it's cool, and I'm going to lower my bit rate ever so slightly to see if that alleviates some of this. I don't know what people are seeing on stream, but my preview window
Sure.
is very, very choppy.
Honestly, it's clean here on the feed, so
Fair enough.
yeah, stream looks
fine to
good.
me.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you might be good.
Keep an eye on it, and I'll let you know if it does go. Obviously, feel free to drop your bitrate a little bit, but I'll let you know if it gets
Dropped it a
bad.
tiny
Yeah, stream
amount.
Looks
looks
about
good.
as good as this game can look.
I actually like
Exactly.
I actually was just like running through the door and simultaneously lowering my bitrate. It was great.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
Multitasking.
that's a professional. That's a professional.
That's what
Look at him
happens when
go.
you run Sneak King for 11 years, gang. Let me tell you something.
Dude, can we talk
Yeah.
about the moves he's hitting right now? That was
Yeah.
smooth as hell. What? Oh wow! I didn't know the king
I'm
moved like
happy
that.
to. I'm happy
He's
to
gonna
talk
hit the
about this.
gritty
So-
over here. Okay.
Yeah, he's
Right.
gonna hit the grill for sure. What happens in this game besides that we feed people is that essentially every level has 20 total challenges, and to move on to the next level, you need to complete half of those. You need to complete 10 out of 20. So what Kefka is doing here is completing essentially the fastest 10, so that you can move on as fast as possible.
Okay.
Is what we're aiming for.
I'm
here.
sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
You'll notice there that if the game froze for a second. That only happens on the original Xbox. Sometimes when you make a delivery, the game will just do this, where it'll just freeze and it'll loop the music for a indeterminate amount of time. We'll see what happens here. It doesn't permanently freeze. There it goes. Okay. It never has permanently
That
froze
is-
on me in that situation, but it just
That is
happens.
super interesting. That has never happened to me once running this game, and I also run on OG Xbox.
It happens
so
to me all the time. I have no idea
that
why.
is weird. I have never seen that.
I guess it's
Not
because-
one time has that happened to me.
I mean, I guess
You have been running it far longer, to be fair, but
Well, it never used to
I
happen.
like
to me. It
how-
only started happening to me recently, but I upgraded to the Xbox with the faster disk drive as well. And I'm wondering if I'm wondering if
interesting.
that has something to do with it, which is
yeah.
I like how SDAT is the time when we get the most Burger King runners together, and we just have a melding of the minds to talk about
Yeah.
how the
More like
faster
a
disk
melting of
speed
the
makes it
minds.
worse, actually.
Oh yeah, so these games are bonkers. Speaking of worse in things that should be optimal but are not at all. So first of all, what makes all three Burger Kings unique is that they are some of the only dual format games ever made. And what I mean by dual format is that this disc works simultaneously on the Xbox and the Xbox 360, despite those disk drives taking different disk types, typically. So you would think that, with that being said, we should pop this in the 360 because it's in a more advanced system. It would have faster loads, right? That is the opposite. You want to play on the older system because the loads are faster. Maybe Kefka has more insight. My best guess as to why that is that because the discs are in fact dual format, the Xbox version loads and / has simultaneously way less assets than the 360 version, which is definitely more beautiful, more polished, more graphically impressive, but requires more assets and therefore more to load. So my best guess is that because this is a lower resolution version of the 360, it probably just has less to load and thus loads faster. But I don't really know.
I think it's that, but I also think there's a lot less seeds that you can get on these different challenges here, like the order that you see that I'm feeding people.
Interesting.
So I think there's just less stuff. Like you said, there's just less things in the game, so it chugs less because it's very poorly optimized.
Yeah.
You know, it's just badly made.
And I know Kefka only runs Sneak King. By the way, that is indicative of all three. I tested all three of them. They're all faster on the original Xbox because of loads, specifically.
Jesus.
So when I run Pocket by Gracer after this, I will also be running on OG Xbox because it is faster. But
Fascinating.
yes, but to go back to earlier, because we're talking about all these moves that the king is grooving through. So in addition to, we need to just feed people who are hungry. These challenges that we're doing, again, we need to complete 10 challenges per level to move on. We're trying to do the fastest ones, but sometimes those challenges are score based as opposed to feed us X amount of people based. And because of that, we want to do a few things that optimize the amount of scoring that we can do. So, for example, you could see in this one, Kefka is both walking as close to this person as possible and is waiting for a certain hunger indicator, in this case, waiting for that whopper to turn red, and then also hitting a larger flourish. Those are all multipliers that pop up on the left side of the screen there when you're scoring something in order to get a higher score in a shorter amount of time.
Gotcha.
So all of that is a factor. You want to flourish for extra points. You want to be really close to them. You want to wait until they're a specific level of hunger. And then sometimes as well, you want to maintain a chain, which is the fourth modifier there, which is the amount of feedings that you do without getting caught, essentially. And that goes for in between feedings as well. Not just that you tried to feed somebody and you got caught. If you happen to be walking around and someone catches you, your chain is broken. So some challenges that are very score dependent, in order to do them fast, you really do not want to get caught. So that's the idea.
Two things. I love that the people are like, I'm hungry, I'm starving, I'm gonna die in like 10 seconds, right?
Yes.
Like their hunger meter is changing so fast, they have no regulation of their internal systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know they're hungry until they're dying. And two, I
Until
love
it's an
that
emergency.
if you hit a nastier, like Luddy or whatever, dance move, it just gives you more points. So
Yes,
I just
because
love when
the
he's like
problem
hiding around the corner. And then
Another-
like, he just
another
creeps up
thing-
on someone. And he's like, "Take this!" He just gives him a burger and starts dancing.
Another thing,
And they're all so thankful. They're like, "Oh, thank God, I was starving. There was nothing else I could have done." Like, look at this! Look at this!
Yep.
Another thing you'll notice me doing
We're gonna
sometimes
stick after. Yeah.
is some challenges only require you to just do a flourish. It doesn't specify the type. And on those, I'll typically only do flourish level 1s because it has the shortest animation. So it does save a little bit of time. Not only do we not have to watch the gauge fill up, but you'll notice the king does a much shorter animation there where he just simply pulls it out and then he does like a little bow or curtsy or whatever you want to call it there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, and that matters. Sometimes with the score-based ones, we're probably hitting longer flourishes, so we could feed less people, because in totality, that will be shorter. But for some of them, like we're about to be up on a challenge where you have to feed 8 people with a flourish. We're going to want to do level 1 flourishes for all of them.
I skipped that challenge now.
You could. Oh,
Yeah,
good for
man.
you, because that's
Yeah,
what
man. I routed it out.
Thank God for that, because I ran this at AGDQ, this past AGDQ in January. And when I ran the game, I went over estimate technically, mainly because of that 8-person challenge.
It's
because on the 8th person, I fed them, and they happened to be right next to somebody who was also hungry. So I fed the 8th person, finished the challenge, so I started mashing A to get through all the text boxes. But because of that, before the text box popped up, I fed the 9th person. And because I was mashing A, it wasn't a flourish, and then it broke it. So I had to redo that whole challenge, which cost me like 2+ minutes, I think. It was like super long.
Yeah, I found a faster route very, very recently, like this year, that skips that challenge, and we do a different one instead. It's easier and harder simultaneously.
Oh, cool.
You still have to deliver to 8 people, but it's just a chain count. But it has a mostly set seed, unlike the other one, which, greatly...
Yeah, it can be quite random.
Yeah, it greatly decreases the randomness, which is huge.
Yes. Yeah, very huge. So that's pretty much, in essence, all that we're working with here when it comes to Sneak King. The run mainly involves, again, just doing the fastest 10 challenges that we can do. Making sure that we know what those challenges are, so you don't mess them up by accident, like I did at SGDQ, for example. And then, just executing on those. What I did allude to earlier is that there has been some tech found recently. The tech doesn't affect the 50% run too much. Now, I'm gonna speak not from experience here, because I have not messed with it at all myself just yet. But what the tech does is essentially allows you to make the last 2 levels more consistent because they involve a lot of like environment interaction as well. So you have to wait for like specific cycles of things like in the construction site, you know, lowering or raising a bridge or whatever the case may be, which was part of the randomness for a while. But Kefka had discovered a way to, or Kefka and maybe other people as well, I'm not entirely sure, had discovered a way to essentially bypass that randomness and make it so that all of the object interactions in the environment in those last 2 levels start in their down position or like equipped position, I should say, so that you don't have to lower them yourself and waste minutes of time.
So here's a fun little piece of tech that was found in the last year as well. The rules for this,
Yes.
yeah, the rules for this challenge are to do a flourish level 1. The rules specifically say do 3 flourishes in ascending order. But the game doesn't actually check to see if you're doing them in ascending order. It only checks to see if the value of a flourish is 1 away from the previous flourish. So you can actually just do 1, 2, 1, which is really silly.
Yeah.
Really silly. That's a really silly thing that even exists, in my opinion. But hey, whatever. We'll take it. That free 2 seconds, baby. It's crazy to me to get a little nostalgic on it. It's crazy to me to think about like. So I ran Sneak King at AGDQ.
1 flourish as opposed to level 3. It takes away the hype a little bit.
In 20.
But it is
Legitimately
fast.
heartbreaking.
Yes.
And then
I'm
you
here for
ran
the
it in
dances, man.
2024. Like 9 year. I don't know. That's just nuts. It's just great.
Yes.
It's great.
A 9-year gap
Funny.
between. Yeah, you ran it in 2014. I ran it in 2024 or something like that. 2015, I forget maybe.
I think it
huge
was
gap
2015.
and not much had changed.
Yeah, almost nothing had changed, and then all of a sudden everything changed. Like a couple
And
months.
now
after.
everything is different.
That's how speedrunning works, though.
That's how it goes sometimes. Just need people to actually look at it a little bit.
I do love how like 10 years goes by and the commercial fast food chain meme game has massive developments 10 years later.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part about speedrunning is just hearing like, oh yeah, people cared enough that they came back to this really silly piece of junk.
Yes, exactly right.
So we're on
That's
the last
exactly right.
challenge, by the way. We're at the end.
You're cruising, yeah.
Yeah, we're schmoving. This last challenge, I don't know. You haven't seen this conception. You haven't seen this challenge yet.
No,
Yeah,
I
this
don't. I
is-
don't do this one, so this
Yeah,
one's new to me.
This is pretty fascinating. So it's over here, which is a little further away, but you're gonna be blown away by how quick this goes, even if it goes wrong.
Oh wow. Okay, interesting.
Yep. So the first.
All right, so you only have to regular, so that's nice. No flourishes.
Yep. It's just
These are my 2 favorite NPCs in the game, by the way, because
they're
they're
great.
always hungry, one right after another. They're my favorite.
Sometimes they get a little busted on this challenge. They didn't today, which is good. But you know how this game is.
Yes.
Sometimes things
Yeah,
just
it'll be
arbitrarily
different
do
when you
or,
don't
or,
need it
or
to.
don't happen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the rules for this challenge is just a chain count of 8. For some reason, I did a flourish on this one. I didn't mean to, but
Sometimes.
yeah, we're just a little extra swag thrown in there for fun.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. You just gotta hit them with that extra dance. Just a little extra spiciness. But yeah, this is a nice cycle.
Oh, it's beautiful. Isn't
You
it?
never have to
And
run
it
far in
goes well.
between feeds. Yeah.
Yeah, watch this. Wait, and watch this. I'm already running over here. Bam. Look at that.
That's nice.
It's much comfier than the other one. Oh, also I was wrong. It's only 7. I thought it was 8.
Oh, there you go. One
Yeah,
less
it's even
feed.
better.
There you go.
Yeah, and that's the run. So I'll stop the timer for whoever stops it in 3, 2, 1, done.
Woohoo!
Sneak Kingin'.
We sneak
Amazing.
sneaking. Yeah, the world's first Burger King block. Coming up next is
Yes.
Pocket Bike Racer. But you all,
With
you
a
all-
thing in between, I hear.
Yes, you all donated for a specific bonus run. Now, I'm gonna be real. This is a weird one. This is a bit of an oddball. A bit of an oddball thing to do for sure. This is probably, if I had to guess, the first time an Atari 2600 game has been featured. And we're just gonna switch right on over to that.
I want to say Oregon Mike has played a game that might be an Atari game. It might also be an MS-DOS game, so I don't remember which is which.
Yes, yeah,
But it's a very similar style. So,
very much. Yeah.
but this might be the first time.
Certainly the first time after a Burger King game. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a sandwich in between. Yeah, like a nice little flame grilled Whopper.
A burger, if you will.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Just kill it, forehead.
Steam doesn't have Discord audio.
People were saying there's no game audio, but there is
There
is
actually
no
is no
sound.
game audio. Yeah, that's just.
Yeah. Bleep bloop boop bloop boop 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 bloop beep boop bloop boop boop. Yeah, I'll
right.
be adding in. I'll be adding in sounds just for y'all. Beep boop 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 beep boop 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 boop. Oh, and it's
Wow.
Slice of cheese.
Wow.
Apparently, they couldn't hear you for some reason.
Oh,
They couldn't hear Kefka during that. So,
Oh,
gotcha. Well, folks,
it's-
there was no
Oh.
game audio.
Oh, so somehow in
So
switching
weird.
over, I muted my mic, and I feel really stupid because I sat here and talked about it the whole time. But you know what? You know what? A silent run. We trolling. We schmoving. Let's go to Pocket Bike
He was
Racer, damn it.
focused.
back in my day, the speed runs were silent.
that's right. Now we call them talkies.
Yeah, this was just the silent. We were just mimicking the silent movie era, but for speedrunning because the game's so old. That's all that was. I was character acting, like method acting. That's it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went back in time before they had microphones.
Way far back. Well, great run, dude. Runs, I should say.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well done. That was amazing. Yeah, so I guess we're just going to take a little second here to get set up for Pocket Bike Racer.
Woo.
But I hope the folks at home are still hungry after that main
yeah.
course.
Here comes the dessert.
Ooh, yes.
Hell yeah, brother.